Welcome to your game recap here on Cowboys Wire. Dallas was able to get into the win column on Sunday with a 27-23 come-from-behind victory behind Dak Prescott's arm and a surprising performance by the Cowboys defense down the stretch. Now, the defense wasn't all good. There were several plays that the Redskins could have made if it weren't for the inaccurate Kirk Cousins, aka Kurt Grossman, aka Rex Grossman 2.0. He overthrew plenty of receivers on plays that probably would have led to touchdowns on those plays. As a matter of fact, he underthrew one, so there were actually 3 touchdowns that the Redskins could have gotten. But regardless of that, the Cowboys made several defensive stands after a failed onside kick, after a fumble by Ezekiel Elliott, and they were able to hold Washington to 3 points. Later on in the fourth quarter, they stopped not 1, but 2 potential game-winning drives. The last one ending with a Hail Mary with 8 seconds left going out of the end zone for the Cowboys to preserve their victory. Now, there were a lot of keys to the game that we saw come to fruition, which are very, very positive steps for the Cowboys. First and foremost with Dak Prescott. His accuracy, and we're not talking about completion percentage because that went up too, but his accuracy as far as placement of the balls increased greatly. Dallas still isn't going deep very often. They are having passes that are above 15 yards in the air, but the deep stretch to defense passes aren't happening. But that seems to be okay because Dak Prescott has now become the first NFL rookie to pass 75 or more times to start his career and not throw a single interception. He passed the great Warren Moon with that stat, who only had 72 before his first interception. So kudos to him. We did have a little bit of a problem. Ezekiel Elliott did get untracked when it came to rushing. He almost averaged 4 yards a carry, but a lot of that was kind of negated when he fumbled not once but twice, losing one, as I mentioned earlier in the second half, and then he had a second one that fortunately Doug Freed recovered. We also saw the explosion of the Cowboys' passing game in terms of who they were targeting. Dez Bryant led all players with 12 targets. He hauled in 7 of them for 106 yards. Very positive turn of events, as last week it was all about Cole Beasley and Jason Witten underneath. They finally got Dez involved in some of that stuff, and you can start to see the offense coming to be what it's supposed to be. Now, I mentioned Cole Beasley. For the second straight week, he had a big game, 5 catches, 75 yards. Earlier in the season, or I should say in the offseason, we predicted that for the Cowboys to have success, Bryant and Beasley would have to be the top 2 options in the passing game and would have to combine for 150 catches on the year. That seems well on its way, as Beasley looks like he's going to, he's currently on pace to have over 100 catches and over 1,100 yards, which would both be by far the most catches he's had in his career. Dez seems to be okay. He didn't make it into the end zone, but that will come. Now, some other things that we saw, La'el Collins stepped up his game from what we saw in the first week. We're still a little bit worried about Teron Smith and his injury, his neck injury, and we also have to have some concern about Sean Lee. Even though he led the team in 10 tackles, it seemed like he was taking very strange for him missteps in the defense, going in the wrong direction, trying to run around people. You have to wonder if that knee injury that he had late in the preseason that caused him to go get an MRI is giving him some trouble, and he's just not letting on because he is by far the team's best defender. Dallas got a couple sacks. Jack Crawford got one. Tyrone Crawford got one. Very exciting to see those guys do it, even though Tyrone Crawford had a pretty bad game up until they moved him out to defensive end, and he got the late sack on the final drive of the game. Some other things to note, the Cowboys in the first game went 3 for 30 when it came to 1st and 10 or longer. These are the kind of chunk yardage plays that a team needs to not only keep the chains moving, but keep the defense off beat. They improved on that to 5 for 26. You're not going to get a first down on first down many times, but for the Cowboys to do that 5 times on just 26 attempts shows a marked improvement. They also showed that the first game being 59% in third down conversions wasn't a fluke. They were 50% on the day. Now, those attempts went down because they were getting first downs earlier in the drive, earlier in the down sequence. So those attempts went down. They were 5 for 10, which is a very good ratio, and even better, they only had 10 third down attempts for the game, which is a mark of a team that's moving the ball fluently on the early downs. All in all, very exciting game for the Cowboys. Again, it was a comeback for Dak Prescott. It was a comeback for the team, obviously, but you can see the poise and what everybody saw in Prescott. He had some scramble plays. He had some plays where he really fought out of sacks to get the ball loose, but they did the whole early whistle thing, so the referees are going to have to get used to the fact that the Cowboys now have a guy that's going to extend those plays even after touched, in addition to being able to escape the pocket and affect the game with his legs. So all in all, very positive performance. We saw Justin Durant come through, get Anthony Hitchens out of there. We did see some issues with the secondary. Scandrick doesn't look healthy, but Mo Claiborne really stepped up, and he's starting to resemble the #1 cornerback and the first-round draft pick that the Cowboys traded up for all those years ago. It might have taken a while, but we might finally be at the point where we can say that Mo Claiborne is somebody that can check other teams' #1 receivers. Again, the Redskins left a lot of points on the board, but we'll take it in this progress while we wait to get Tony Romo back after the Week 7 bye. That's it for your Morning Minute Extended, your Cowboys game recap. Good guys win 27-23. I'm KD Drummond here on Cowboys Wire. Salute.